Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an absolutely incredible day. To start things off, Coinbase has added support for 5 new crypto options to its Visa debit card and also expanded availability, there we go, to 10 more European nations. The US-based cryptocurrency exchange announced on Thursday that holders of the card can now spend XRP, Fiat, Augur, 0x, and Lumens. The new options come in addition to the currently offered Bitcoin, Ether, Bcash, and Litecoin, like always. Coinbase customers in Bulgaria, Croatia, Denmark, Hungary, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, Poland, Romania, and Sweden have now also been provided access to the card product. The CEO at Coinbase UK said, and I do quote, "By more than doubling the number of assets our customers can spend on Coinbase Card, as well as introducing the card to 10 new countries, Coinbase continues to help drive crypto's role as a utility, not just as an investment." The Coinbase Card was launched back in April to serve the UK and EU nations. Coinbase says it instantly converts cryptocurrency to fiat currency when customers make a transaction using the debit card. Here's the bad part. According to the firm, the card can be used anywhere that accepts Visa, including internationally. Cool. There are fees for ATM transactions above the value of 200 euros, 1% domestically and 2% internationally, as well as charges for some purchase transactions, its website said. So working backwards, the garbage part is that there are fees of anything more than 1 cent. The entire point of cryptocurrency, especially if you've been here for a while, you know that we've gone through this struggle already. The part of the thing that we're trying to get away from is a world or a system where we are charged 1%, 2%, 4%, 5%, whatever percent to be able to use our money. You should not, that's absolutely bonkers to think that you should be able to charge someone like that. But I was hopeful years ago that the world would have changed or would change a little tiny bit. But what it kind of is now is that crypto will make it, yes, but in a very regulated manner. We are entering the point right now where governments are not happy with people being able to use, spend, buy, sell, trade cryptocurrencies without being taxed on it or without them knowing about it. And if they do know about it, there has to be a company behind it. There has to be some type of a third party, which is completely pointless within cryptocurrency. However, this is kind of where we are. So there won't be a, maybe, who knows? Probably. Yeah, maybe. There will be a future where we are able to transact in cryptocurrencies between ourselves without anyone knowing. However, it seems like for any major purchases that happens within a store or whatever, so and so, it's definitely going to be through a company. The good point being is that they have added 5 new coins to their card. I think the card is a very good idea. In around 2012, 2013, part of the problem that we had is I'm pretty sure especially if you're new-ish, or rather when you were new at that moment in the cryptocurrency space and you were trying to send money to a friend to an exchange anywhere, and you realized you had to copy and paste a huge long string of letters and numbers and all this other stuff, and you were like, what do I do with this? The idea is that in the future this would be simplified and we would simply all know how to do it. We'd all be able to copy and paste with ease and be able to transact this way. But the way that things are moving is, especially if you've noticed, the trend is that there has to be some type of a custody somewhere, a digital bank, which Coinbase basically is right now, and they hold the money or crypto for you, and then you're issued a card, same as a bank, and then you use that card and take some money from your cryptocurrency wallet. It was bound to happen. It has already happened. We see other companies also doing this as well. None of them as popular, I want to say, as Coinbase. So this will be, I think these are really good long run things. I think these cards right now don't hold much significance as far as we collectively are waiting for a massive spike in price. I personally believe that the coins that we currently talk about or see are probably incredibly undervalued, and I'm waiting for them to reach their true value before I even think about spending any of them, what have you, so on and so forth. Anyway, they've added new crypto also to these countries. Cool news, adoption, expansion, awesome. Let's move on. Next up, Weiss Ratings is comparing the smart contract platforms Cardano and EOS. Although EOS launched its blockchain last year, the rating agency says Cardano now has the edge after launching its incentivized testnet. They said, and I do quote, Cardano is clearly superior to EOS. EOS was first to the market, but it's becoming increasingly clear that of the two, Cardano is vastly superior. Cardano completed the first snapshot and balance check for its incentivized Shelley testnet. This latest step towards staking will allow investors to earn rewards on their ADA for the first time. Don't forget to move your ADA to the Dallas wallet if you want to participate. Weiss Ratings has provided financial market research and analysis for consumers and businesses for more than 3 decades and released its first crypto rankings in January 2018. I'm pretty sure if you were here, you definitely remember that period, that week. We started getting indications that by the time that Bitcoin's price was kind of shaky, we were around $15,000, down from the $20,000. Institutions have started to flow into the market, and it only becomes more clearer now as time has actually gone on. What we started to see is a number of companies who had come into the cryptocurrency space who started rating cryptocurrencies. We had never had anything like this before. The most that we had within the cryptocurrency space were normal people, some analysts from Wall Street from years ago, some people on Bloomberg, some people on CNBC, who were saying what coins they thought were cool. It usually revolved around Bitcoin, Ether, XRP. Maybe there was like a Litecoin or like a something other coin every now and again. But we started to get information from China and from Weiss Ratings as to what the best, coolest, quickest, fastest, most stable, robust cryptocurrencies and blockchains were. I remember the first couple of ratings, people were not too happy. I think it was the Chinese ratings and also Weiss Ratings, and there was also like 2 other rating companies, but we don't really hear about them as much anymore. I think Bitcoin was never number 1 on the list, and that rubbed people the wrong way very, very fast, because the idea was that Bitcoin's number 1 and has to remain number 1. Everyone who was into XRP and XRP wasn't at least number 2, people started losing their minds, but they went off of technology adoption. I think it was strength of the network, decentralization. It was all these different things that were kind of compiled together. And what we're now seeing is a movement in rankings for some of the coins that were supposed to be Ethereum killers, but now they seem to have changed that entire speech, and they're trying to become their own little thing on their own little prairie. What's interesting is that there's still a bit of a tug of war between EOS, Cardano, and Tron. It'll be very fascinating to see which one of these actually makes it. We have, for those who don't know, since I believe yesterday, the Cardano incentivized testnet, meaning pretty much you're able to stake and get real ADA for it, has officially launched. I'm still wondering if by the end of this year, we're going to properly have Shelley, as this was mentioned before that we would have Shelley by the end of this year, and what exactly that'll do to the other coins, as many other altcoins have simply fallen out of favor. But what if one does work? What if Cardano does indeed do what it says that they're going to do? But yeah, I know there's definitely arguments. I mean, there's arguments about everything. We have arguments about every single coin and which coin is better and which coin is faster and which coin is cooler. Here's the actual tweet for it right here. And without further ado, let's move on. Ripple is expanding on its efforts to boost the development and adoption of XRP. Ethan Beard, who runs Ripple's fundraising and development arm, Spring, says the company has released a new SDK designed to make it easier for engineers to build on the XRP ledger. He said, "We recently received a new SDK, the Spring SDK. Previously, a developer would have to write 100 lines of Java, for example, in order to actually just do a simple transaction on the XRP ledger. That's terrible." He said, now using this SDK, an iOS developer who writes in Swift can actually just use 10 lines of code to do the exact same thing. We're going to make it available in a variety of different languages to support the entire world of developers. That's just dandy. What's really cool about this is, at least for me, is I like that coins have realized that they can do more with their blockchains. They can have other things. Like the original idea for Ethereum was to be a world supercomputer. No one would be able to touch it. It'd be awesome, amazing, super fantastic. But now they're figuring out other ways to get people onto the network, to people to use their blockchain, to get people to use their so-and-so. And one of the main things for XRP, for those of you who may be very new to the class, was that XRP was supposed to only be used by banks. And what we see now is that people are realizing, especially the developers, that you can build on top of it. You can make video games, you can make websites, you can make this, you can make that. And this is where I think a lot of these coins are going to end up going. I think it would be very foolish of any blockchain project, product, foundation to have a coin and think that it's simply going to make it because you can pay with it. That's not even how the world is developing right now. Everything that we do, especially because just about everything is online, to think that people are simply going to choose your coin because you can transact value, well, that's cool. So can Bcash. So can, I can't think of any other bad coins, but so can that coin as well. So it's nice to see where this is going. I want to see if this goes anywhere. We had discussions at the beginning of this year or the end of last year that there were a number of developers who were trying to build, I believe it was video games, if I'm not mistaken, on the XRP ledger. And I think there was also a bunch of other, I think like a crypto exchange and a whole bunch of other things. We never hear about these things anymore. 85% of the cryptocurrency projects that we end up hearing about either fizzle away, or I think that people just kind of like to hear themselves saying that these things are kind of going to happen. I think we would be in a very different cryptocurrency space, especially for mass adoption, if I think people just implemented things that they were talking about doing before. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but let's see exactly how the development of all of these, not even just XRP, how all these blockchains end up looking in 5 years' time. If they're all still trying to tout the entire thing that you can spend me, therefore use me, they won't be around. Remember there was the beginning of 2018, I think a friend of mine had told me to buy some, I can't remember what it was called. It was something along the lines of like Earth coin or something coin, but something weird like that. And I remember checking their website, and their entire thing was, I think they tried to have as many coins as the weight of the world divided by the amount of people in the world, and therefore there would be enough coins for everyone. And I think the inflation rate was like 15% per year, and it was so-and-so, and it was like we're like 5 times faster than Bitcoin. And I was reading through it, and I think I saw other crypto channels also talking about it, and I'm like, but this is garbage, like no one needs this. Man, you just can't see the future. And I'm like, okay. And lo and behold, these things are never really spoken about anymore. And without further ado, let's move on. Litecoin creator Charlie Lee says he's talked to a number of major crypto exchanges to assess whether they would delist Litecoin after the platform integrates confidential transactions. According to Lee, the exchanges he has spoken to say Litecoin is not at risk, although he acknowledges anything is possible. He said exchanges recently delisted privacy coins wasn't a big enough warning sign for you. That's why I say the Litecoin people are so stupid. Even Charlie. Oh, this is someone else. This has nothing to do with Charlie Lee. I thought Charlie Lee said this. I was like, why would Charlie Lee be calling himself stupid? The point being, Charlie Lee and many other Litecoin developers. Why was this here? Why was that at? They announced before that they planned on implementing confidential private transactions. Get out, the sun's like directly in my face. Confidential transactions on Litecoin. I think they said that they planned on doing it by the end of this year. We got a lot of talk at the beginning of this year as to things that were going to happen by the end of this year, and they still not have yet to transpire, happen. One of the main fears was that governments don't like private transaction coins. They actually hate them because they don't know exactly what's going on with them. So a lot of the coins were delisted from many cryptocurrency exchanges, and I think this is maybe the reason why potentially there was a slowdown in the implementation of Mimblewimble or any other what have you onto Litecoin. It appears the major exchanges would still have Litecoin. I don't see why they wouldn't. I also assume, this is just an assumption, I don't know 1000% if it's going to happen. I assume if Litecoin does implement something, they'll probably try to have that switch on and off thing. So you can have private transactions if you want to, but you also can have them completely open so that you can deposit them onto other cryptocurrency exchanges. It kind of is what it is. Let's see if they actually end up doing this by the end of the year. I doubt it. I assume summer next year we'll get information that by the end of next year, it'll be implemented, and then there'll be a soft fork, and then somebody else will fork the network, and they'll say, no, this is the true Litecoin. You know how it goes. This is just how crypto is. So here's where the video gets a little weird. A lot of stuff has been happening in the last couple of days, and I wonder how this is going to work, how this is going to shape crypto. Changpeng Zhao, founder of Binance, says the Chinese president's endorsement of blockchain will inevitably drive mass adoption of crypto. In an interview with Bloomberg Markets Asia today on the 15th of November, Zhao gave his perspective on the likely global impact of the recent intervention by President Xi Jinping. As reported, President Xi Jinping had called this October for China to accelerate its adoption of blockchain technologies to drive innovation and industrial transformation, reflecting on the likely consequences of this high-profile endorsement and explicit declaration of the blockchain strategy. He said, "It's super positive. China's very pro-technology, so China will likely very heavily invest very heavily in blockchain technology and on the educational front as well. Given that China has now made the move, every other country in the world will have no choice but to follow or move faster, but it's going to be pretty hard to move faster than China, to be honest," end quote. Hinting at the state's competing geographical aspiration is not that important, blah, blah, so-and-so, so blah, 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 blah. They pretty much were asking him, what does he think about the cryptocurrency market within China after China's crackdown, air quotes, of the cryptocurrency space. He said, "We want to follow the recommendations very closely and to promote blockchain technology research and development. We're looking at a number of initiatives in that area. We want to help wherever we can." What's been happening the last couple of days is very, very weird within China. We had an endorsement, if you will, of blockchain from the Chinese president, and that everyone in the country should embrace it, start using it, adopt it, blah, 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 blah. What ended up happening was that Bitcoin's price skyrocketed because Bitcoin runs on blockchain, and therefore the assumption was that they were going to be adopting Bitcoin. Around the same exact time, the Chinese government had released a number of little really weird things. People keep asking me for that PDF. I have no idea where it is. There's a PDF in one of my videos. I don't remember the name of it. I'll try and find it and see if I can link everyone to it. It was pretty much like a PDF that the Chinese government had released about like the greatness of blockchain and how like Bitcoin did so and so. This was months ago. This had to be sometime around the summer when I myself was speculating. I was like, why is China being so friendly to blockchain and to cryptocurrency? I'll try and find it for you. I like scrolled through the PDF in the video. I think most of it was written in Mandarin and I can't read it. So there we go. But the last couple of days, after all that happened, after all the hype in the cryptocurrency market, what we ended up seeing was like the Chinese media has tried to backtrack and say that blockchain is good, but people should be wary of Bitcoin. While the Chinese government is also still releasing documents and stuff like that showing the greatness of Bitcoin. Like, what was the thing that we just spoke about 2 or 3 days ago where they were talking about like the first successful application of blockchain was like Bitcoin, and they were talking about how Bitcoin's price rose and how you can have private transactions and how you can have so and so. And it's like, why would you be discussing all of that? Like, especially if you don't know how China works, whenever the government talks, people there have to listen. So if you're talking about the greatness of this and so on, it was in a local newspaper. It was in the state-run newspaper. Why would you talk about the benefits of private transactions and how great that Bitcoin is in the paper that everyone in the world in China is supposed to read, and then try to backtrack on that as well? So the kind of weird part is, and I'm trying to connect all the dots as best I can, is there seems to be some sort of a connection between Changpeng Zhao and China. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's from China. But since the president came out openly talking about blockchain, Changpeng Zhao has been more vocal about the entire cryptocurrency space within China and how he's for it and here to help development. There was also something about a week ago where he was, I think he was sitting on a panel with Chinese, not investors, like government members, which is kind of creepy, talking about the future of blockchain within the country. So all these next things tie directly into each other. Next up, the People's Bank of China announced that it will pilot a restriction on large-scale cash transactions in 3 different regions across the country, with one expert calling the move paving the way for the upcoming digital renminbi token, or the RMB. On the 14th of November, local news outlet Xinhua reported that the People's Bank of China intends to carry out a large-scale cash management trial that will last for 2 years and will be implemented in phases in the Hebei province, Zhejiang province, and in Shenzhen. There we go. The People's Bank of China explained that large cash transactions, here we go, facilitate illegal criminal activities, including corruption, tax evasion, and money laundering. Sure, the People's Bank of China will restrict large cash deposits and withdrawals for businesses up to $71,000, while personal account restrictions will range from $14,000 to $43,000 depending on the province. And I'll get to exactly why this is, while these numbers are incredibly significant to the entire thing. The People's Bank of China will also tighten its control of large cash transactions for specific industry sectors. It will also take a closer look at the real estate industry in Xingtai City, the medical industry records of, I can't read these names, large-scale cash withdrawals and automobile sales in Zhejiang province. The People's Bank of China reportedly said, under the requirements of large-scale cash transactions, banks need to deepen their understanding. I have to close the window. Hold on. I had to close the window. That was driving me nuts. It was like burning my eyes. Every time I'm trying to look at the screen, my corneas, they weren't doing too well. Under the requirements of large-scale cash management, banks need to deepen their understanding of current customers, strengthen risk warning and information communication for customers who are prone to generate large cash transactions, and guide them to use non-cash payment tools. For those of you not looking at the screen, this is an article from December 2017. It says China puts $15,000 annual personal cap on overseas bank card withdrawals. Rules aimed at curbing money laundering, terrorism financing, and tax evasion. Everything China has been doing is now coming to a head. It's all making so much sense. A couple of years ago, 2017, and I think this also went even further to around 2015 or 2014. I can't remember the exact date or year. There was a situation where we found out that China apparently had put capital controls on people within their country who were trying to take money out of the country. And I think the maximum yearly limit was $50,000. Why is that significant? Because there were signs that after 30 years, China's economy was slowing down it makes a lot of sense now. That China's economy was slowing down. I think their annual rate of growth was like 10-15% per year, which is insane because every country normally aims for like 1 or 2% growth, and China was accelerating rapidly, super fast. What was happening was that all these people within China were becoming millionaires, super millionaires, mega millionaires, and we were getting some of the first billionaires within China, and everyone was like, whoa, they're so rich. When you have that much money, you look to expand. You don't just simply put all the money that you have into that one country. You start buying things other places. There was a huge expansion of wealth throughout Asia, but specifically within China. People were buying, I'm pretty sure if you live in the UK, you definitely remember this. If you live anywhere within Europe, this makes a lot of sense to you, especially if you also lived in Canada. There was a huge explosion in the real estate markets in Paris, in London, in the south of France, in some Nordic countries. I can't remember exactly where it was. Within Russia, within Vancouver, within Toronto, maybe? California, New York, and I want to say Miami as well. Real estate prices were skyrocketing for a year. People were like, why? Who's buying up all this real estate? It was people within China. People who had made $30-40 million in 1 year. They were buying up entire buildings in Florida, entire stretches of land in California, in Vancouver. They were just buying entire buildings, 15 luxury flats inside of these buildings. The entire thing was just gone, all bought up. Real estate prices completely exploded, and everyone was like, "Why are they suddenly buying so much?" A couple weeks later, we had information that the Chinese government was like, "Nope, this is not going to happen. Money laundering, financing, terrorism. Nope, 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 nope." And pretty much said the maximum every year that you can take money out of China is $50,000, and everyone was like, "Oh, it makes a lot of sense now," because these people figured that the capital controls were going to happen, and they were like, buy as much as you possibly can. For those of you who remember as well, we were talking about this as well. I don't know if it was at the end of 2017. It was somewhere around that time where we were discussing. I had just seen the documentary, and these people, it was talking about it was like the new wealth from China and how they were buying up London or something ridiculous like that. It was some documentary. And it was discussing how they had the capital controls, and these people had figured out that they would just buy a painting in China, $18 million, and simply say that they were having it shipped to a friend in London. That friend in London would sell it through Sotheby's or Christie's or whatever, and that money would be put into an account. That person from China would fly to London, pay for a visa, a passport, and pretty much start their new life living in the United Kingdom. People were trying to figure out ways how to get their money out of it. And this is why it says, bringing it all back, China puts $15,000 annual personal cap on overseas bank card withdrawals. They were doing this because they realized, the Chinese government realized very, very fast, not only were people realizing what was going on in the country, if you've been looking at the news, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but where it was all going to go. And they figured out ways to be like, okay, let's get our money out as quick as possible. And this is why you probably saw in your city a huge explosion of real estate prices and maybe new faces in your community. It's because people were trying to get away from the capital controls. Because imagine, just close your eyes, not if you're driving. Imagine with me for a moment that you have come into possession of $50 million wherever you live. And all of a sudden, someone's like, yeah, at home, you can only use 50,000 of that per year. And you go, okay. And you go, well, I'll just go to Bali. I think I'll go to Texas for the week. Yeah. For the year, you can only withdraw 15,000. You would go, okay, well, I'm going to withdraw my bags and I'm going to get onto a flight and leave this country as quick as possible. Bringing it all back to where we were before, the restrictions, the fact that they're doing a 2-year test, and tests are very dangerous in certain parts of the world. As far as the Sesame credit score was also a test. And now it's going to be implemented throughout the entire country. So this test, you'd better believe, is probably also going to be countrywide as well. The issue is that they're making sure to restrict everything. Businesses, personal accounts, traveling. They already restrict if you can even take a high-speed train or if you can take a plane within the country. So imagine a world where everything is digital. It makes so much sense now. This is why from the very beginning, when people, first of all, China launching their digital coin is going to revolutionize the world. And I don't mean that as in like a life will become much better. It's going to force the world to change. It's going to force governments to really get their stuff together and kind of become new and more digital just to try and keep up with China. It'll foster the adoption of cryptocurrencies. However, it'll be at the other people will have to suffer so that other people will be able to prosper. It's kind of the nicest way of saying it. Imagine a world where you already have tons of capital controls. There are many capital controls in other countries, but you typically, if you're transferring like 1.5 million, you usually just have to go to the bank, have a discussion, get a phone call, go back to the bank, sign some papers, it goes through. Not being able to do this at all is completely insane. So imagine a world where they have a digital currency, going back to what we were talking about last year when all the congressional hearings were happening and people were like, yeah, part of the problem is that with a central bank digital currency, if somebody wants to, they can hit a button and say no. Imagine if the country is acting up, the government says, okay, that 15,000 is now only 1,000. Deal with it until you're all acting better. So, tying directly into those things as well, Russia, China, as well as other members of the international group of emerging nations known as BRICS, which include India, Brazil, and South Africa, plan to create a cryptocurrency designed for payment settlements. Are you seeing where this is all going? BRICS, B-R-I-C-S, is an international group of emerging nations that includes some of the world's most prominent economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. According to popular Russia media, during the Business Council of the Alliance in Brazil, the countries discussed the creation of a cryptocurrency and a single payment system for operations between the members of the group. Everything is making so much sense now. Like, I can see so clear. It's really crazy. The council reportedly supported the idea brought forth by Kirill Dmitriev, head of the Russian Direct Investment Fund. He proposed the creation of a single payment system for settlements between the members of BRICS. He also reiterated that the transactions can be carried out in cryptocurrency. He said, an efficiently operating BRICS payment system is able to stimulate settlements in national currencies and ensure the stability of settlements and investments between our countries, which form more than 20% of the global influx of foreign direct investment. When I saw this, I said it's all making sense right now. This obviously, it made crypto headlines. I don't think many people will outwardly talk about this. I don't expect any type of media where you're getting your news from, depending on which country you're in, to openly talk about this. We have seen alliances formed and strengthened over the last 2 years, and I couldn't figure out why. And I think the first thing that really was I want to say the first straw that was close to breaking the camel's back is, do you remember about 6-7 months ago, maybe even sooner, when the guy from I think he was the head of the Bank of England. Was it Mark Carney? It was someone. He stood before the people at the Federal Reserve in America and said the world needs to move on from the US dollar. And I think he also proposed a cryptocurrency or something along the lines of it. And other member nations, you may have noticed, Russia and China have also been talking about creating their own cryptocurrency. India is very friendly to cryptocurrency and blockchain companies, but not the idea of people within their country just loosely being able to do as they please with their own money. Right here as well, for those of you not looking at the screen, this is from 2017. This is why I said everything is becoming very, very clear right now. Moscow and Beijing joined forces to bypass US dollar in the world money market. Move seen as a small step towards monetary alliance to bypass the US dollar. This was 2017. This one says right here from 2015. China establishes rival to World Bank. I remember when this happened. It's called the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, or the AIIB. This, I think, was a collaborative effort between China, Russia, Great Britain. I want to say France. France doesn't sound right in my head when I say it. And about 2 other countries. And I remember being super, not hyped, but I was like, wow, that's going to be really interesting, because I was waiting to see how this would develop. I assume behind the scenes, money was passing hands. Threats were probably made. I don't know. I can't say anything for certain. But if you're trying to create something that's going to get around the US dollar or rival the World Bank, you'd better believe people aren't just going to take that lightly, is the only way that I can kind of say that. What we're going to see happen, especially as we've seen such an immense amount of interest from China, from Russia, from, was it Iraq? North Korea. Oh gosh, who else was there? Venezuela and about 6 other countries. Remember when Venezuela created their own cryptocurrency and they were trying to form an alliance with other countries to use their crypto, and they were like, no. They say, yeah, we can still, be friends, but I'm not using your coin. And I assume the discussion was, we're going to use mine. This is why it all makes sense, or rather it would seem why China is actively trying to rush out their coin as quick as possible, test it, whatever, yada, 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 to make sure that this all kind of flows together. It is very fascinating to see this forming. I remember reading this in 2015, like waiting for things to kind of like pop off, boom, 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 pop, pop, pop. Things like this obviously take time if you're trying to get things like this going. Hold on, it says China's finance minister said the bank's establishment was ratified by the 17 founding members. Please have a name, list of names. Here we go. Wow, it's a lot of top country. Is it all of them? Maybe. Here's BRICS right here as the purple ones. No, it can't be all of these. Asian infrastructure investment. Maybe it is. I see every country, just about almost every country listed here except for the US. How fascinating the world is going to be. Imagine a world. This is why I get I'm a futurist. I love anything about the future, whether it be negative or positive. I just kind of want to see it. I want to be there. Imagine a world where Bitcoin becomes a thing. Bitcoin isn't simply for me and you and the entire human race, if you know that song. It becomes a thing that governments are actively trying to buy up if it does pass by $100,000 one day. Everyone's actively buying it up. Imagine a world where Bitcoin becomes a reserve currency, a reserve something when it passes by the $1 trillion market cap, and everyone completely loses their minds. And other countries who once before or fell under the rule of the US dollar start transacting amongst themselves just in Bitcoin or through their own cryptocurrencies. How that would shake the entire world around us. I saw all of this news, even this stuff about Changpeng Zhao. He's been talking a lot about China recently. He's been talking, like, there was also the rumor, I think a day before or 2 days after the Chinese president had come out about blockchain, that there were rumors that Binance was trying to open up a new office in China that apparently would be an over-the-counter cryptocurrency exchange, which are legal in China. Everything is coming together. It may take about another 2 years for this to really all make sense, but understand that behind the scenes, governments are not only trying to maintain control, they're trying to strangle it. They're trying to make sure that they have as much control as possible, and many countries are trying actively, and they're probably going to do it, get away from the US dollar within the next 10 years. How will that change the world as we know it? We've all grown up and lived in a world where it was just the US dollar that dominated the entire world, and it was expected that it was going to last for a very long time. I wonder what happens when it doesn't. I can't even begin to imagine the earth-shaking consequences that will arise from this. Anyway, I thought all that was fascinating because everything really lined up very, very fast. Like when you look at the older news and the attempts that all these people are doing to make sure all of this, goes off without a hitch. Yeah, here we go. Despite the opposition for the, It was Australia, Britain, Germany, Italy, the Philippines, and South Korea. They all joined the rival to the World Bank. Fascinating times ahead. Alrighty, everybody. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Shoop Shoop, Diddy Wop, Hummer Hummer, Wang Dang, Anytime Fitness, Monk's Corner Staff, Ting Tang, Walla Walla Bing Bang, Sammy Buchucha, Bodie McBoatface, Yes 2 Crypto, Miller Hitch Chest Every Day and Kyle Skips Leg Day, Minting Coins, Jeremy Fox, Jim Gardner, Anthony Charles, Nick Mangialavori, Paxis, Crypto Beer Shipmate, Vlad the Impaler, Richie Rich the Third, Nick Kanaya, Setsuna, Damien, Nicholas Run Earth, One Piece, One Love, Cryptopolis, Crypto Artist, Cold D3D, Strange Radio Central, Mechanic, Mill Wheezy, Adobo, Bankroll Network, Crypto Joe, 242 to the World, Wise Night Owl, Jared Schneider, Triple M and J, Woody and Daisy, Brady Niels, Master Ventures in Thailand, Mohair Maroney, Adam Graysick, Todd Mullis, and Professor Wally from Gun Bot University. Thank you all very, very much for your support. At the moment, the cryptocurrency market does not make a lot of sense. Some of the coins are in green, but then they're not in green, and the other coins are trying to go back to green, but they're still in the red. I know that makes sense to a lot of you. Bitcoin is currently up, not by a lot, by 0.22%. So much monies. I'm going to assume the price is still going to go back down just by nothing at all, just by my own grace of mental clarity. I saw a lot of articles this morning touting the fact that Bitcoin had the articles either said Bitcoin had gone by its golden cross and therefore a big move up was imminent. The other article said, can you guess what the other article said? Give you 3 seconds. That's right. The other article said Bitcoin looks like it's going to move back down. I saw an article that said Bitcoin could be heading back to 2,000. I saw another article that said Bitcoin could be heading back down to 4,000. Another one said that Bitcoin could be trying to retest these 7,000 US dollar lows. Let's see how that all works out. Tezos is still up from the Swiss Stock Exchange hype that we had. Yeah, just the normal market moves, if you will. We'll see what ends up happening. We're already halfway through the month. How absolutely insane is that? I believe today is Friday. Is it Friday? Yup, it's Friday. Enjoy your Fridays. Hope work ends early. Hope you get out of work early. If you don't get out of work early, have a good after work day. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are. Wherever you might be, I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. And I will definitely be talking to you all soon. See you.